So hey everybody, welcome. My name is Jamie Pollock. My company is Royalwise. You can always find us online at royalwise.com. Today's video is going to be addressing how to attend our new webinar format if you'd like to come and take a class with Alicia or I in our new virtual classroom. Yay! So I'm going to take you through some steps, show you basically a few things about registration, the emails you get, how to get into the setup, how to get into the webinar, and then once you're in there, what's the difference between being an attendee and what's a panelist? How do you ask questions? There's a chat feature. There's all sorts of fun stuff. So hopefully in a real quick way, we're going to go through all that stuff and make sure that if you want to come to a virtual training and not have to drive your car to our new location, our new live location is in the 3rd floor of the Lloyd Center in the Portland English Language Academy. We're very excited to be partnering with them and being able to offer our classes in a live classroom once again. But if you don't want to have to drive down into the Lloyd Center or come into town, you could stay home and you could watch and join the class virtually through your computer through our new webinar format. So let's get started and take a look and see how it all works. So there's a very good chance that when you first hear about our classes, there's 2 ways that might happen. The first one is you probably got an email from us if you're on our newsletter. And if you did get an email from us, this is what it's going to be looking like right here. This is from our MailChimp system. These are my additional classes and webinars for October. Looking down here, here's that how to attend a webinar, which is a free class. But if down here we also have what's new in High Sierra, what's new in iOS 11, and our new class schedules coming out. So take a look and keep your eyes out for those emails. The other place that you can always find our classes is if you go to our website, just simply go to royalwise.com, and in the classes menu, you can choose upcoming classes. And if you click right here on upcoming classes, you will get another full list of all the classes we have coming up in the near future. You'll notice Alicia's doing her QuickBooks Online Tricky Situations class next week. We scroll down, we have Word and QuickBooks, and then my curriculum starts up again with iPhone, iPad for 2 weeks, and then in December we're doing all of our Mac OS classes. If you do come to the website to do it, you're going to click on the big orange link to get to the class. Scroll down past them the information, and right here are the tickets. Say I would like 1 ticket, and then choose whether you want to come live in person, go to the virtual classroom, or watch later and just simply get the recording after the fact. Today we would like to go to the webinar, so I'm going to hit the radio button next to virtual classroom and add that to my cart. If you're on the newsletter, it's basically the same thing. You're just going to click here to say click here to register. And it's going to take you to that same web page where you can then buy that ticket. Once you have what you want in the cart, you're going to go right down here to proceed to checkout. Now, if you happen to have a coupon code, and we do have some coupon codes floating around there. If you buy a new computer down at the City Mac out by the airport, they'll give you a code for a free 2-hour class. And occasionally we run some specials where we'll give you a code that'll give you a class half price, different things. So you can put that coupon code right in here and apply that code, and it'll take it off the price of the class. I'm going to click this button right here that says proceed to checkout. At this point, you've got 2 options. If you already have ever bought anything through our shopping cart, you could click right here to log in, and it would just let you log in with your username and your password, and then it would fill in all the rest of the information for you. If you do not have an account on our website, all you have to do is come and fill in the first name and the last name, your street address, the town and city, the zip code, the phone number. If you'd like any notes for us to know us anything or how we heard about you, we love to know where our referrals come from. We live and die by referrals. And then right here, we want to set a password. Make sure that you put in a password that you're going to remember or write it down somewhere. So the next time you come back to register for a new class, you know what that username and password is. Also, this is going to be your way of being able to come back to our website later and watch the video of the class that you've attended. We record all of our classes, we publish the videos later, and then you can come and audit the class as many times as you want to. So that's the important part of it. Make sure you put a password in, you remember that password. I'd also like to say, if you have an account and you go and the password doesn't work, you don't remember what the username is, you don't remember what the password is, simply reach out to me and give me a call, 503-504-6392, or send me an email at jamie@royalwise.com, and I'll just get it fixed up for you. Alicia and I can just go in the back end and reset your password. We'll send you a new one. We'll test it out and make sure that it's working the way it should be. So feel free to do that. For me, I am a returning customer, so I'm going to click right there and say I'm a returning customer. Go ahead and log in as my test student. And I'm going to click my login button. Okay, so we've just logged in to the shopping cart. All of our good information is here. At the very bottom, what we need to do is decide how we're going to pay. We want to pay with PayPal. We want to pay cash or check at the door. Please be aware that's for a live class only. If you're doing this as a webinar or a virtual training, you have to pay online. There's actually no way you can give me a check if you're not coming to class. Normally, we would choose credit card right here, put in all our good credit card information. As we see, we've got our black lock up here letting us know that there's an active SSL certificate, meaning it will be encrypted before it's sent to the server. Very safe. And we're going to click our button right here to place our order. Once you've placed the order, you're going to get a couple confirmation emails from us saying you're registered for the class and that we received your payment. So everything's going to be all good there. Once we are ready to start the webinar process, or we get you actually in the class on our back end, you're going to be getting another email from us. This is going to be from Royalwise Solutions. And it says, hey, how you doing? Here's what you've registered for. If you are attending live, here's the location. Some information about our virtual class. The fact that all attendees will receive a recording of this video. And then right down here is where it says join from a PC, a Mac or an iPhone or whatever you got. And then there's going to be this, please click this URL to join. This is a URL you're going to need to click on right before class starts. Okay, so we would like you to show up to class about 10 minutes early in case you have any problems with that process. Also, about the day before, you're going to get another reminder email that has this link in it again. So don't stress out about that. If you can't find the original email, you're going to get a new one the day before class starts. As I said, we'd like you to get in about 10 minutes early, and I'm going to show you what's going to happen once you click on that link. So here we have the email that you receive when you first sign up for the class and or the reminder email. And what we're looking for is a place where it says join from a PC, Mac, iPad, iPhone, or Android device. Please click this URL to join. Now this is a situation where I do not have the Zoom app installed on my computer. As I said earlier, if you do have it, you'll click the link, it'll ask permission to open the app, you say allow, and it just opens. I'm going to show you the situation of what happens if that's not the case. So I'm going to go ahead and click my link. It's going to launch me into Safari. If nothing happens, you can launch Zoom. It says your meeting should start in a few seconds. In this scenario, nothing did happen for me, so I'm going to click this download and run Zoom option. This is actually what we prefer. We prefer that you actually download the app and run the app on your machine. Now you notice we had a little something kind of jump from here up into this area in Safari. This is my downloads area, so I'm going to click here to say show downloads, and we're looking for the Zoom US installer. That's exactly what we want. If you're on Chrome or Firefox, it might have like gone down to the bar across the bottom of your browser, but ultimately we're just looking for this thing. Now, if you do not see this here, or if you do not find the little down arrow, where it's really going is inside of our Finder window. We can open a Finder window and go to our Downloads area, and hopefully it'll be right here at the top of our Downloads list also. We could double click on this one right here. But the easiest is hopefully we can just drop this down right here, double click on this. Package content, determine if the software can be installed, continue. You get a little welcome, give that a second to get itself working. And now that we are ready to go, we can say join a meeting. And now we'd have to go back to our email and find our meeting ID, which would be this number right here in this URL, 481-621-484. That is our meeting ID. I'm going to try something else here. Now that I know I have the Zoom app installed, let's make sure. There it is, zoom.us, so I do have it. What happens if I just go back to the email and click the link again? Let's check that out. This is a message I was talking about earlier. Do you want to allow this page to open zoom.us? Say allow. So now you've joined our webinar. You're in our virtual classroom. And what I need you to realize is that you're seeing my face and it's full screen, and I haven't shared my screen with you yet. But one thing you may want to do right now, you'll notice if I take my cursor, then everything shows up. We see the menus and we see the buttons, and then if I don't move my cursor, it stops. So what you might want to do is take your cursor up here and it says exit full screen right in the top right corner. And you may want to do that because you may want to be able to do things on your computer while you're watching this class. So I'm going to go ahead and click exit full screen, and now I've actually got the webinar inside of a window. If I'd like to go back to full screen, that's this button right here. I'm free to click this button to go back into full screen. Click it again to come out of full screen. You may also notice that we've got our options down below. Here is our chat option. We could raise our hand, or we could submit something through the Q&A. A couple things we can do real quick now that we're in the meeting. We could go to our audio settings and try to see what speakers are we using, what microphones do we have. We could click here and say audio settings completely, and now we could test our microphone and then test to make sure that we have a built-in speaker on our laptop. If we want to be on the audio and video of the class, we need to make sure that we have an audio and a video hardware that can support that kind of stuff. Now that you're in the class, the first thing we will need you to know is that you are considered a attendee. That means you're attending the class, but we're not on the audio or the video yet. And that also means that we cannot see you, we cannot hear you, and you are not being recorded as far as the recording we're going to publish later. At this point, the options that you have for communicating with the instructor is going to be to use your chat feature. So right here is our chat button. And if I click chat, it's going to open up a little chat area over here on the side. And I can make my decision right now whether I want this to go to all panelists or all panelists and all attendees. So let's define what those two definitions mean. I, as the instructor, am your panelist. That basically means that anybody you can see on the video and you can hear through the audio is considered a panelist. They are the people that are actually giving the class, or possibly an attendee that's been raised up to the panelist level so we can see and hear them because they have a valid question, they want to talk about something or discuss something. But right now, when you first join, you are just an attendee, and your main way to communicate with me is to use this chat as if it were a text message or an email or an instant message, or as they in Facebook, they call it a direct message. So I'm just going to come right here and say I want this to go to all panelists and attendees. That means that everybody's going to be able to see it and hear it. Excuse me, not hear it, see it and read it. If I say all panelists, it's only going to go to the instructor. It's not going to go be seen by the other students in the class. So there's the distinction. Do you want this chat to go out to all the students and the teachers, or do you just want the teacher to get it? For this one, I'm going to say all panelists. This text can only be seen by panelists, and again, that means the instructor or anybody that's video and audio is showing. And I'm going to say, how do I submit a question? So now that's gone up to my instructor. Oh, and we had our answer in the chat window. It says use the Q&A function. I'm going to point something out about the chat before we move on, is that if I'm in full screen mode and I open up the chat's going to be kind of a floating window, and I've got to figure out where to put it so I can still see what's going on in the video or in the screen share. If I exit full screen, it's actually attached over here to the right side. So the question was, how do I submit a question? So the next thing we want to look at is submitting a question, and that's going to be the Q&A button that we see right here. Now if I go to Q&A, same thing. I can input a question right here. And just so that you know, the Q&A is a little bit different than what we're going to be doing with the chat. The chat is actually for very quick dialogue between you and the instructor, where the Q&A is a little bit different. The question and answer section is a place where we're going to have a series of questions that students have about the material itself that the instructor can then either look at and go, oh wait, I cover that later in the class, so I may not answer that question immediately. Okay, or maybe I see the question and go, oh, I wasn't clear, let me go ahead and address that verbally right now. So there's a chance that the instructor or possibly an assistant to the instructor is going to answer the question through text through the Q&A function, or there's a chance that they're going to just answer it verbally over the camera or over the audio, or there's a chance that it's already built into the curriculum and we're not going to address it at that moment. So the thing about the Q&A is you've got to not expect an immediate answer. It may or may not show up immediately, and also depending on the number of people in the class, if I've got a lot of students, I may not even get to every question. It really just depends on how that flows. So you're going to use the chat to get a kind of an immediate answer. Hey, my audio is not working, or I can't hear you very well, or something like that. The chat is more for discussing kind of the needs and what's going on for you. The Q&A is more about the topic, questions for clarity and things like that. So we're going to try to distinguish these two areas, but really both the chat and the Q&A are a way for you to let us know that you have a question if you can't be seen on the video and or you don't want to be in the recording. So that's really the difference there. So I've submitted a question. What is raise hand all about? Well, that's great. What a great question, since that is our next topic. And then the answer has come back. It says it allows the instructor to make you a panelist. What does that mean? Well, let's find out. I'm going to go ahead and close this window here. And now I'm going to come down and click on raise my hand. Now that you've raised your hand, the instructor is going to see that you would like to ask a question, but do be aware this question will be live on camera. This is going to turn on your audio and it's going to turn on your video, and then you're going to be seen by the whole class. The whole class is going to hear you, hear your question, and then you and the instructor, me or Alicia, can actually discuss it with you, talk about it, give you a little bit more in depth. So if the chat isn't working for you, the Q&A is not working for you, you can always raise your hand and ask to be seen and heard so that we can just kind of get it done a little bit faster. So now I'm going to promote our one attendee, Jamie Pollock, to being a panelist. And at that point, we now have two Jamies. Sorry about that. But if I look this way, I'm the attendee panelist, and if I look this way, I'm the instructor. So just be aware. I know it's confusing. We have two of me. But today's video is really about when you're the student, you're the attendee, and you've just been raised up to being a panelist. So I'm going to come back over here to this screen here. I have my options again. I'm going to get out of this full screen mode. And also I need to realize I'm muted right now, so the instructor can't hear me. I need to unmute. So now the instructor can hear me. So when the video pops up, you'll be able to see yourself and the instructor, but unless you unmute, the instructor's not going to hear you at all. Notice that as a panelist now, we've got some of the same options. I could put something in the, well, actually it's funny, I can't put anything in the Q&A because the Q&A now thinks I'm somebody who's answering questions. So as a panelist, stay away from the Q&A. Let us deal with that. You could pop up in the chat and decide whether you want to chat with people or not, but realize you are a panelist, not an attendee anymore. And then you need to make a decision here. Are you going to chat with all the panelists, yourself and the instructor, all panelists and attendees, so that everybody in the class can see what your chat is about? Or do you just want to talk to the host directly? So those are your options. Now you can type right here. Also, when you're chatting, remember to hit your return key, your enter key. That's the way to submit that chat. So you do, there's no button that says submit or go like there is in the Q&A. On this one, you have to hit your return key or your enter key. Another caveat to be aware of is that this does mean you're in the recording. The minute you get raised up to the panelist level and your video and audio turn on, you are going to be on camera. Just have an awareness of that. So now the host has changed my role back down to attendee, and I'm back down to not being a panelist, and nobody can hear me or see me. Be aware that you've got a couple things to handle. Once again, we might want to get out of full screen mode so that we can see our own computer. We are free to grab the corner and shrink this down and maybe put it up in the corner so we can do things on our computer while we're taking the class. That's another great thing to do. And I want to point this out again. Notice there are no buttons right now, but if I move my cursor over the window, that's when it all shows up. Here's my go into full screen. Here's my chat, my raise hand, and my Q&A. Now the next thing we're going to do is, so far we've just been looking at the instructor talking and hearing video. But honestly what we're really hoping is going to happen in this meeting is that the instructor is going to share some content with us. And so now all of a sudden our instructor is sharing a website with us or sharing their screen with us. And we'll have to see a couple things that have happened now. We've got our view options up here in the top now where we can actually say exit full screen if we don't want it to take over our whole screen. And we've got the same situation where our menus may disappear on us, but down here we have our chat, our raise hand, and our Q&A. And then if I get out of full screen, I can float it around and see. And the instructor can share what they want to with me. Like you might need to go to the classes menu. And then you can go to my class recordings and go see what class recordings you have available to you. Okay, the instructor may then stop sharing that content, which is going to turn it back into the video format. And just kind of get used to this idea that the menus may disappear, and if you need them back, just put your cursor back over the window. So that's it. That's all the things that you need to know to be a participant in one of our webinars. I just want to give a quick overview of some of the most important stuff we talked about. When you first join in to one of our virtual classroom trainings through the webinar function, you will be what's called an attendee. As an attendee, the only things that you can do to communicate are to use the chat or the Q&A, and if you need to, you can raise your hand. Realize that if you do raise your hand and you get called on, your audio and video will become active, and then we will be able to see you and hear you, and you can discuss things with the teacher, but you will also be seen and heard by everybody else in the classroom, which is totally fine. Normally in a live classroom setting, everybody knows everybody anyway, so don't let that bother you. Also, to distinguish, if you need to chat, you can always pop the chat up, but when you do, you need to decide whether you want to chat with just the panelists, meaning the instructors, or the panelists and all the attendees, meaning all the other students. So you need to kind of target who can see your chat message. Are you chatting with the general student population, or are you just trying to get to the instructor directly? With the Q&A, that's just going to go to the instructor. That's just going to go to the panelists. But be aware, if you get raised to the level of panelist, you may see the back end of that Q&A. Just leave it alone and don't touch it when you get there. But as we also saw, when you are a panelist and we can see your video and hear your audio, you can always use the chat if you need to. One last thing, and we've mentioned it a couple of times, is we record every class, we record every webinar, we publish those on our website later. So you can always go to royalwise.com/my-classes. And you'll get a list of your classes. If you simply go to Royalwise and log in with your username and your password, you'll come to a My Accounts area with a big button, a huge button that says Watch My Class Recordings. And that'll take you right to your list of classes. You can always get the handout off of that page. There's a link at the top of every class with a link to the handout. And if you want to also, in our website, you can go to the classes menu and go to My Class Recordings. One last thing, if there's a class that we have not offered and we've offered in the past and you would like to go ahead and watch it, you can go to the classes menu on our website and all class recordings, and that's going to be a list of our current offerings of the most recent version of every class we offer. And so if you don't want to wait until February for me to do the photos class again, there's a version of the photos class in there that is as current as we have it. And a lot of times, sometimes there's a discount. The photos class is actually on sale right now in that area. If you do go buy a class from the All Classes area, it is on demand. The minute you buy it, it will show up in your My Classes list. You can immediately go over to the My Classes list and watch that video. You do not get access to me directly through watching the video, but we do give 10 minutes Q&A over the phone with any class purchase. So watch the 2-hour class, take some notes down, give me a call and ask me your questions later. One of the beauties of doing classes that way, and I just want to mention this real quick, is once you watch your class recordings, if you buy a class that you didn't take and you just get the watch later video, or even just buy a current class, watch later, videos come out about 2 weeks after the class. So after we do a class, expect to see those videos 2 weeks later. But one of the beauties of doing the video training is that you can pause it. You can go get a cup of coffee. You can take a break anytime you want to. If you're in a live 2-hour webinar, a live 2-hour class, you're kind of expected to pay attention for that whole 2 hours, and sometimes that can be a challenge. So the nice thing about video learning and video training is that if you don't understand something I'm talking about, you could pause it and rewind it and watch that section again to really kind of like, well, what is he saying here? What is it? And sometimes it may take 2 or 3 listens to kind of get it. What was that term again? How is he using that phrase? Right? And so the video learning is great because you can always rewind and listen to it again, rewind and listen to it again. Also, if a half an hour you're like, my brain's full, I really can't deal with it anymore, pause it and come back later, right? The videos are always going to be there for you. So you can just pause, go do something that clears your head. When you're ready, come back and sit down. Maybe it's my 5-hour photos class and you only want to do a half hour a day. Great, do it over a 2-week period. That's what the video training's for. With that, I want to thank everybody for spending this time with me, learning about our new technology and how we're going to be doing virtual classes. Hopefully this is great for some of you that really don't want to drive or don't want to come into town. If you do, we're going to be at the top of the Lloyd Center, third floor of the Lloyd Center in the Portland English Language Academy. We're really excited about that. We're also real near the food court, so lunches are going to be super easy too. Plenty of parking, all sorts of great stuff. With that, my name is Jamie Pollock. My company is Royalwise. Come visit us at royalwise.com. Thanks a lot.